Have you ever wondered why some women pass through a man's life like shadows, barely leaving a trace, while others linger in his memory like an unshakable echo that will not fade? The truth is simple yet profound. A man never forgets a rare woman because she stands outside the ordinary rhythm of his existence. She does not beg for attention, she does not bend to be chosen, and she does not tremble at the thought of being alone. Her presence carries the silence of mountains and the depth of oceans, and even if he loses her, her essence remains etched into his psyche like a wound he cannot heal, or a blessing he cannot explain. This rare woman is not defined by beauty in the shallow sense that the world idolizes. She may be striking, yes, but it is not her face or body that chains itself to his unconscious. It is the way she makes him feel. She awakens a mirror he has avoided all his life. In her calmness, he is forced to confront his own chaos. In her boundaries, he is forced to see his own lack of discipline. In her refusal to chase him, he is faced with the terrifying truth that love cannot be owned or commanded. She does not move according to his expectations, she moves according to her own rhythm, and that rhythm unsettles him because it is the sound of sovereignty. Most men are intoxicated by women who are easy to control, who mistake attention for affection, who cling out of fear of abandonment. But a rare woman does not cling. She expands. She does not fight for space in his life. She creates a world within herself so vast that he either rises to meet her level or fades into irrelevance. And this terrifies him, because deep inside, every man craves the mystery of the rare woman, yet few are strong enough to hold her without trying to break her spirit. You must understand this. The rare woman is unforgettable because she embodies what Carl Jung described as the Anima, the hidden feminine inside every man's unconscious. She is not simply a lover, she is a mirror of his soul. When he meets her, he feels both fascination and fear, because she represents the part of himself he has repressed, denied, or abandoned. To lose her is to lose access to that forgotten part of himself. This is why years later, even when he lies beside another woman, he will think of her. Not because she gave him more pleasure, but because she revealed more truth. Some men try to destroy what they cannot control. They will criticize, manipulate, or withdraw, hoping she will shrink herself to fit their insecurities. But the rare woman does not collapse. She allows his rejection to carve her into something stronger. Like water flowing around stone, she bends but does not break. She understands the wisdom of Lao Tzu. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. She carries this paradox within her, the strength of silence, the power of surrender, the authority of patience. And here is where you, listening now, must ask yourself, do you embody this? Do you know how magnetic a woman becomes when she no longer negotiates with her worth? When she refuses to explain why she sets her boundaries? When she walks away without anger, without theatrics, but with the calm of someone who trusts life itself. This is what imprints her forever in the male psyche. Not her smile, not her body, but her refusal to trade her soul for his validation. Understand the psychology. Men are creatures of conquest, addicted to the chase, yet often disinterested once they've caught their prize. But the rare woman flips the entire game upside down. She is the one who does the choosing. She knows that her silence speaks louder than her words, that her absence is more powerful than her presence when her worth is questioned. And when she withdraws, when she detaches, when she refuses to fight for a place in his life, something irreversible happens inside him. He realizes she was never his possession. She was his reflection. And that reflection, once glimpsed, cannot be forgotten. There is a cruelty in this truth, but also a liberation. For while he spends years haunted by what he could not hold, she continues her path untouched, like a river that does not stop flowing simply because a man once tried to cup it in his hands. The rare woman belongs to no one but herself, and that is why no man ever forgets her. She teaches without teaching, she transforms without effort, she loves without attachment, and in doing so she transcends the cycle of dependence and rejection that traps so many others. The unforgettable quality is not perfection, it is depth, it is the courage to be misunderstood, it is the refusal to explain your sacredness to those who are blind to it. When a man meets a rare woman, he is confronted with something larger than desire. He is confronted with destiny. Whether he honors it or destroys it, whether he rises or falls, he will never escape the memory. Because she is not just a woman, she is the echo of every truth he tried to bury, and the whisper of the life he was too afraid to live. The rare woman becomes unforgettable because she teaches a man the deepest lesson of all. Love is not ownership, and connection is not guaranteed by desire. Her very existence reminds him that affection cannot be forced, and that too, the highest form of attraction arises when two beings meet in freedom rather than desperation. For him, this is both intoxicating and unbearable, because his ego is built on control, conquest, and reassurance. Yet she dismantles all of that without even trying. She doesn't battle his ego, she simply exists beyond it, and that quiet transcendence marks him more deeply than any fight or plea for attention ever could. In her silence lies a strength that men rarely encounter. She does not shout to be heard, she does not chase to be seen, and she does not cling to be remembered. Instead, her power flows from the stillness within her, a stillness born from self-possession. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus taught that no external circumstance can shake the soul of one who governs herself. And the rare woman lives this truth. She does not crumble when he withdraws, because her foundation is not built on him. She does not collapse when he betrays, because her trust is rooted in her own integrity. And so, while he may expect her to beg or to plead, he is met instead with something he cannot control, her indifference. That indifference slices deeper than anger ever could, because it reveals she does not need him to breathe. You must realize how dangerous this is to the male psyche. A man in his unconscious often assumes he is the sun around which a woman revolves. Yet when he meets one who carries her own gravity, he is undone. His assumptions collapse. He may try to diminish her, to test her, to push her away and pull her back. But nothing works, because she is not orbiting his approval. She is orbiting her own center. And this is why he will never forget her, because she forces him to recognize how fragile his sense of power truly is. Lao Tzu warned of this confrontation when he wrote of the shadow. Every man carries an unacknowledged darkness, his insecurity, his envy, his fear of inadequacy. Most women tiptoe around that shadow, trying not to disturb it, hoping to soothe it into silence. But the rare woman does not coddle a man's shadow. By standing firmly in her own light, she exposes it. She awakens it in him without effort, and suddenly he is forced to face himself. She does not do this to punish him, she simply cannot dim herself for his comfort. Yet once he has seen his shadow in her reflection, he cannot unsee it, and this haunting becomes his memory of her. Think of how a storm leaves the landscape transformed long after the clouds have passed. That is what the rare woman does to a man's soul. Even if she leaves, even if years separate them, he remains shaped by her presence. Perhaps he tries to replicate her energy with other women, only to find it missing. Perhaps he distracts himself with noise and novelty, but silence brings her back to him. Because what she gave was not something external, it was the reminder of his own inner life, a glimpse into his potential, a confrontation with his truth. And such revelations cannot be erased by time. You may not know the weight you carry when you walk as such a woman. To you, it may feel like solitude, like walking a path where few can meet you. But to him, it is unforgettable. Because in your detachment he tastes what freedom actually feels like. Not the freedom of doing whatever he wants, but the freedom of meeting someone who needs nothing from him, yet chooses to stand near him. That choice, once given and once withdrawn, leaves an ache that cannot be cured by possession. And here lies the paradox. The rare woman leaves a man both grateful and wounded. Grateful because she awakened him, wounded because he could not hold her. He may tell himself he has moved on, that he no longer thinks of her, but memory betrays him in quiet moments, her voice echoing in the silence, her presence haunting his solitude, her essence woven into the fabric of who he has become. For while he may forget the ordinary, he cannot erase the extraordinary. Understand this. What makes her unforgettable is not that she was perfect, but that she was real. She stood firm in her boundaries, she carried mystery without pretense, she loved without attachment, and she walked away without fear. This is what sears her into his memory, the fact that she was whole before him and whole after him. A man never forgets the rare woman because she proved, simply by existing, that his presence was never the source of her worth, and that truth is a weight he will carry for the rest of his life. There is a timeless truth that lives in the rare woman. She is both mirror and mystery. To the man who meets her, she is a revelation that feels like destiny, but also a trial he is rarely prepared to endure. She awakens in him something ancient, something he cannot name, but cannot ignore. He may call it love, obsession, fascination, but in truth it is his own soul, stirred awake by her presence, and once stirred it will never fall completely back into slumber. What men do not easily understand is that the rare woman is not unforgettable because she gives more. She is unforgettable because she withholds what others surrender too easily. She does not pour herself out into emptiness, she does not trade her essence for scraps of attention, and she does not allow herself to be consumed. Instead, she offers glimpses, moments, fragments of her vastness, and that taste is enough to keep him hungry for years. He will chase shadows of her in other faces, he will compare voices and touches, and he will always find something missing. What is missing is not her body, not her woe. Yes, but the way she made him confront himself. A man is never truly haunted by the woman who needs him. He is haunted by the one who shows him he is unnecessary. For this strikes the core of his ego, the part of him that longs to be savior, provider, center of gravity. When she demonstrates she is complete without him, when she refuses to kneel at the altar of his importance, she fractures his illusion. And illusions, once broken, cannot be mended. He will try to forget her, to bury her under new experiences, but in moments of stillness, her presence returns, not as a memory of romance, but as a reminder of truth. The Stoics wrote that true strength is not control over others, but mastery over oneself. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The rare woman embodies this effortlessly. She does not attempt to manipulate a man into loving her, nor does she plead with him to stay. She governs herself, and that governance makes her rare. It makes her untouchable. It makes her unforgettable, because the moment she refuses to be controlled, she ceases to be a chapter in his story and becomes the book he cannot put down. You may think that being unforgettable requires drama or fire, but the opposite is true. The unforgettable woman leaves quietly, without rage, without theatrics. She does not slam doors, she simply disappears with dignity, and this dignified absence echoes far louder than any shouted words could. A man may forget the woman who fought for him endlessly, but he will never forget the woman who refused to fight for a place in his chaos. For in her absence he realizes what he lost. Not someone who needed him, but someone who chose him, and the loss of choice is the deepest wound of all. Jungian psychology teaches that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires confronting what has been hidden or denied. The rare woman embodies individuation in feminine form. She is not divided against herself, she does not wear masks to please or fragments to survive. She is integrated, and this integration is what makes her magnetic, even in silence. She forces a man to see how fragmented he truly is, how far he has strayed from his own center. And while he may resist her, dismiss her, or abandon her, her impact lingers because she represents the wholeness he craves but cannot yet claim. Think of how rivers carve valleys, not by force, but by persistence. The rare woman imprints herself in the same way, not through demand, but through the quiet, unshakable current of her essence. She does not shout her worth, she embodies it. She does not prove her value, she assumes it. And so she becomes unforgettable, not because of what she does, but because of what she refuses to do. She refuses to betray herself, she refuses to shrink, she refuses to exchange her soul for fleeting affection. That refusal is more powerful than any gift, more haunting than any kiss. You must see the power of this. When a woman knows her worth, she does not chase. and when she does not chase, she leaves space for the man to feel her absence. That absence becomes the teacher he cannot escape. It teaches him the weight of his own choices, the cost of his own blindness, the reality of his own ego. He may never admit it aloud, but he will carry it within him always. And long after she is gone, he will whisper to himself in regret, wondering how he lost the one thing that could never be replaced. There comes a point when the memory of a rare woman ceases to be about her at all and becomes entirely about him. For what she leaves behind is not only the imprint of her presence, but the confrontation with his own inadequacy. She becomes unforgettable because she represents the crossroads where he chose comfort over growth, control over surrender, ego over love. And even if he masks it with pride or silence, a part of him never recovers from that choice, because deep in his unconscious he knows he was given a chance to rise into something greater, and he let it slip away. The rare woman's mystery is that she does not fight to be remembered. She does not brand herself into his life through constant reminders. She does not cling to old conversations or replay past memories. She allows him to forget her, and it is precisely this allowance that makes forgetting impossible. Like water slipping through fingers, her departure leaves him empty-handed, yet her essence lingers. He will find himself returning to places where they once walked, hearing echoes of her words in the silence, tasting the weight of her presence in moments when the world quiets. What he cannot grasp is that she is unforgettable because she never tried to be. Men often speak of the women who made them feel desired, but the truth is that desire fades. What never fades is the woman who made them feel seen, and the rare woman sees with a clarity that unsettles. She does not flatter, she does not embellish, she does not pretend. She looks into him, past the layers of performance and bravado, and reflects back who he really is. That reflection is both intoxicating and unbearable. For a fleeting moment he is known, and to be known is the greatest intimacy. But when she withdraws, when her gaze no longer reflects him, he feels an emptiness so profound it aches like hunger. No other woman's admiration can fill it because no other woman mirrored him with such depth. This is why the rare woman often walks alone, not because she cannot love, but because she will not betray herself in the name of love. She understands what Seneca meant when he wrote that it is not that life is short, but that we waste much of it. She refuses to waste her essence on a man who cannot meet her with equal depth. Her solitude is not a prison, but a sanctuary, and this sanctity makes her rare. A man may misinterpret her independence as coldness, her silence as disinterest, her boundaries as pride, but in time, when she is gone, he will understand. He will understand that what she carried was not arrogance, but self-respect, not indifference, but wisdom, not rejection, but reverence for her own soul. You, listening now, must recognize the archetype that lives in her. She is not merely an individual woman, she is the embodiment of the eternal feminine, the force that heals by refusing to be diminished. She is the goddess hidden in every myth, the muse in every poem, the whisper in every man's dream. And when a man meets her in flesh and blood, he brushes against the divine. He may not have words for it, but he feels it, and once felt, it cannot be forgotten. Because how does one forget the taste of truth? How does one erase the memory of sacredness? Jung spoke of the anima as the inner feminine that lives in every man's psyche. When a rare woman enters his life, she awakens that anima with startling intensity. She becomes the bridge to his inner world, the key to his unconscious, the spark that ignites transformation. But transformation is terrifying, and many men retreat rather than rise. They leave her, they resist her, they diminish her. Yet even in their rejection, they remain bound to her. Because rejecting her is rejecting themselves, and that rejection festers in memory until it becomes regret. The rare woman does not set out to be unforgettable. She does not strategize or perform. Her essence is born of discipline, solitude, and inner knowing. She has faced her own shadows, embraced her own silence, and walked through the wilderness of loneliness until it no longer frightened her. That is why she carries a gravity few can resist. She is not seeking wholeness in him, she is bringing her wholeness to him, and when she leaves, she takes nothing from him, but she leaves him with the awareness that he was incomplete all along. This is why she becomes a ghost in his memory, not the kind that fades with time, but the kind that grows heavier with it. For the older he becomes, the more he recognizes what he lost. The more he understands that women like her are not easily found, and that the memory of her was not a fleeting moment, but the closest he ever came to knowing love without chains. And in this realization, he finds himself haunted not only by her absence, but by the man he might have become had he been strong enough to hold her presence. A man never forgets the rare woman because she leaves behind something far more potent than affection. She leaves behind transformation. She alters the trajectory of his inner life, often without saying a word. Long after her absence, he finds himself living differently, thinking differently, even desiring differently, though he cannot always trace it back to her. She becomes the invisible hand that shifted his compass, the unseen teacher who gave him a glimpse of his own soul, and while he may never admit it, he knows it was her. It is not her love that makes her unforgettable, but her detachment. For her love, though deep, is never enslaving. She can love without possession, give without losing herself, walk away without bitterness. That balance is almost alien to him because most women he has known blurred themselves into him, softened their edges, silenced their voice, molded their being to fit his shadow. But the rare woman stands apart. She loves as a free being, and in her freedom lies the very reason he cannot forget her. She gave him the rarest gift, love without need. This shakes the core of his identity. For much of a man's self-worth is built on being needed. He imagines himself the provider, the protector, the central figure around which a woman's life revolves. When he meets one who dismantles that illusion, who does not require his validation or his strength to exist fully, he is left unsettled. He is left both diminished and awakened. He cannot forget her, because in losing her he lost not only a woman but the fragile structure of who he thought he was. The unforgettable power of the rare woman is that she transcends time in his psyche. Even if decades pass, even if his hair grays and his youth fades, he remembers her, not always with clarity but with weight. A scent, a place, a silence will bring her back, and the memory does not age because she was never bound to time. She was bound to essence, and essence does not wrinkle or wither. It lives eternally in the psyche. Do you see now the secret of her magnetism? It is not in chasing beauty or perfection, but in living aligned with her essence. She does not seek to control how she is remembered. She simply remains true to herself, and that truth becomes unforgettable. Because while beauty fades, essence endures. While desire wanes, presence lingers. While passion burns out, memory of integrity grows stronger. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." The rare woman embodies this wisdom. She does not crave a man to complete her. She does not beg for affection to validate her. She knows she is whole, and in that wholeness she becomes richer than any jewel he could offer her. That richness is what he remembers, the feeling of being with someone who did not need yet chose. For choice is the highest form of love, and losing it becomes the deepest form of regret. Lao Tzu would call her unforgettable because she incarnates archetype. She is not merely flesh and bone, she is symbol. She is the sovereign queen, the untamed muse, the healer cloaked in silence. When she appears in his life, she awakens myth itself, the eternal feminine written into every man's unconscious. He may not understand why she lingers in his memory, but it is because she represents more than herself. She represents the part of him that longs for wholeness, and though he may forget names, places, or years, he will never forget the moment he brushed against his own completeness through her. You must hear this. What makes you unforgettable is not the way he loved you, but the way you loved yourself in front of him, the way you carried dignity in silence, the way you walked away without bitterness, the way you never abandoned yourself even when it meant losing him. That is the essence of the rare woman. That is why she is carved into his memory like scripture. She is not remembered for her compliance, but for her refusal to betray her soul. And so, she does not live as a ghost chasing his remembrance. She does not sit in shadows waiting to be recalled. She lives forward, endlessly expanding, endlessly becoming. Her life does not pause for his absence, and that is precisely why her absence weighs so heavily upon him. She is unforgettable because she is uncontainable. He could not cage her spirit, and now he cannot silence her memory. For the rare woman lives not only in his past, but in the unhealed depths of his present, and in the echo of the man he might have been had he risen to meet her.